I'm going to demonstrate the Purpose Navigator here. So the first thing we do is purposenavigator.com, click Login. Then we log in as a teacher in the teacher's mode. And then from here, I'm going to show you some of the administrative aspects. You see here's the teacher, these are the students. If you click on any of these students, you should be able to automatically see all the work they've done throughout all the different stages. So teacher can take a look at everything the student's done. They can't edit it, but they can look at it. Go to lessons and resources. Here you will find all the different session plans and the resources the teacher is going to need to implement this in their school. Everything's here on the back end. Let me go now to the Purpose Navigator itself. This is the kind of the app which the student uses to go through this process. Section 1 is all about helping the young person figure out they have purpose in life. This is a game where they take these items and drag them to the items on the right which represent their purpose. So I click to put the tonsils here. Yep, it's germs. It protects against germs. And the idea here is that one student's going to take one of these and put it in the garbage can, and we're going to say, nope, that's not the purpose, and we can have this discussion about just because you don't know the purpose of something doesn't mean that it doesn't have a purpose. Everything has a purpose, including you. And if you don't feel it has a purpose, you might decide to chuck it out in the dustbin instead. And the same thing is with your life. If you realize you have purpose, you're much more likely to value it. The next exercise is a similar type of exercise to help the young person, student, to feel that they have purpose in life. They go to the self-assessment. This is something they do a number of times throughout the process to help them keep track of how purposeful they're feeling. Section 2, this is where you start analyzing the passions. And here is a place for them to put in their passions. And you can see here they can do medium or in-depth. In-depth is going to take much longer, where they analyze more passions. So the length of this process is going to be depending partly on how many passions they choose. Section 2.2, they start analyzing those passions to try and figure out what flavor or what aspects of the passions they like. So this person teaching, they enjoy engaging in students. So then they do this abstract or concrete. They want to figure out, are they more of a problem solver, a concrete person, or a more abstract person, or more of a person who desires to create. And they figure that out by analyzing each one of their passions. Again, when we talk about passion here, we're not talking about passions which are all-consuming. Rather, we're talking about harmonious passions, passions which the individual has and that fits in well with all other areas of their life. The kind of thing which they will do on a Saturday when they have nothing to do, or a Sunday, and they're drawn to it naturally. Then they go and do on 2.4, they do the essences, which means they go one step further. This is optional, this is a deeper level. So this person at the top, they enjoyed teaching, why to engage in students, and ultimately it's in order to make a difference. Again, they also choose whether that's abstract or concrete, and they go through all of them like that. At 2.5, they will put themselves in this continuum, whether they're very abstract or very concrete or somewhere in the middle. And this is important because this is going to influence where on the continuum their careers that open up in the next section. And then 2.6 is where they do the values and actions character strength assessment. That's another website it takes them to, and they put their top 10 character strengths, but they can also rank these according to how they feel they would need to do it. Okay, this is then what they do here is this assessment again to see how purposeful they feel. Section 3 is where they start exploring the world and the universe of careers, and if we see, it opens up where they put themselves in that continuum of abstract or concrete, and that's where they start looking at careers. But they should go up and look at all the different careers. They want to see the details, they click here, brief details show up. If they like it, they can click add here. It will show up there, commercial and industrial designer. So these are all the ones which maybe a person has chosen, and they go to the next exercise, and they start analyzing these a little bit more deeply to see how well it actually fits them. So they go to these different careers they've chosen. Aeronautical engineer, 3 things involved each day. They can click details to remind themselves exactly what it is, and then they match what they learned about themselves in the previous exercise with this. So here are all their aspects, so the flavors of their passions show up, the essences show up, their character strengths show up, and they're matching their character strengths and their aspects and their essences with the career to see how well it fits them. And then also the question is, what part of this career are they attracted towards? When they've done that, they go on to the next exercise, and this is on a scale of 1 to 10, how passionate and how well do they think each of these careers fit them. So they will put each one, they will do a little visualization to see how passionate they feel about it and how well it fits them based on their own analysis from the previous exercise. And those which they get 8 and above on will show up here as the 3 or 4 or 2, however many it is that they got 8 and above on, which they are going to look into in much greater depth. They then do the self-assessment again, and that's again to see how purposeful they're currently feeling. They will then choose to do interviews. Mostly of their students, we want them to do interviews with people who are actually doing these 3 things, so they can ask that person important questions to see, well, what are the things they really enjoy about that career, or they think that career has, based on the passions and based on the aspects or flavors they have of those passions, to see whether that really indeed fits them. And those are the kind of questions they're going to ask here. Again, the wonderful thing about this is if they go much smaller, it will open up on their phone. And as it goes opening up on their phone, they are then able to ask these questions anywhere. So when they will take their phone with them and they will log on and they will be able to do this there. They will then, based on those interviews, they will then choose one career which they think is their career-focused purpose. They will then do the self-assessment again to see how purposeful they actually feel again. And finally, in section 5, that's the roadmap. I want to be an aeronautical engineer, for example, but how do I get there? Well, are you in school right now? What school do you attend? What year are you in? What are your grades like? What subjects or educations you need to gain in order to achieve this goal? And what experiences and internships would be valuable? And what good people would be helpful for you to know? And then they do 3 things each year which they need to do as goals in order to get there finally of their long-term goal to become, in this case, aeronautical engineer or whatever it is they chose. And then when they finish with that, they can then download the certificate. And here we go, a certificate of passion and purpose. Or they can also print the roadmap so they can have that with them on the wall, etc. And that's basically the end of this process. It can be done anywhere between 10 and 18 sessions in a school. It really helps the student figure out what they want to do based on their own autonomous decision-making process, and it's coached by a teacher or by a school counselor.